and let us all do we can to build a better future.
As you know, last week we had our summer disaster special.
Hooray!
Where we talked about things you can do in the summertime to protect yourself against heat weather disasters. We're getting more news about the way infrastructure in this country is crumbling, and I wanted to bring up some examples of this. This was a small. Then this is crazy. This is a small town in the Southwest in Arizona. It's about a 4-hour drive. They say 4-hour drive northeast of Phoenix on the Arizona New Mexico state line. Apparently, what happened was all of their cell phone their various cell phone services and their internet service and whatnot was connected to a fiber network, and somebody shot it up. So.
Why?
Here's the thing. So
Why?
Everything is taken down. So they had no 911, for example. All right. And they essentially, so this is Frontier Communications. Frontier Communications is an internet service provider, cable provider out in the West. It usually does deal with these small, out-of-the-way rural communities. And I think they're a good organization. But what happened is somebody came and shot up their fiber cables. And that took for several days, took out internet, 911, their phone, there was no phone service, and they were unable, they were unable to communicate. They know of at least one case in which some neighbors had organized themselves and were going door to door to make sure people were okay. They found a man on the floor in distress. He ended up dying of a heart attack. He was unable to get any help. Now, he may or may not have been able to live even if he had called 911, but, his family members have to live with the knowledge that that man was lying on the floor, unable to get help, suffering and scared.
Yeah.
And that's not the way you should have gone.
Agreed.
And the thing of it is, it turns out that this has happened before, that somebody shot up the cable. Now, that I do put on Frontier, and I do put it on the city administrators for not fixing that issue, because if it's that easy to take out communications for that area, the fact that it was shot up before, steps should have been taken to harden the security around those cables. That's a problem. But you've got a lot of these towns, they don't have the money to do this. They don't have the money to do it at all. And this is what happened. And, imagine if there had been other disasters at the same time. And it kind of shows just how easily everything can crumble right now.
Well, okay. So here's what we have to take away from this, especially when it comes down to the internet. Our lives are all connected to it, whether you like it or not. And the thing is, across America, our internet infrastructure
no 911, no phone
is pretty much pathetic. Anything stupid that can happen will happen here in America in regards towards how our internet is connected and how it can fail us. When we were at the old studio location, I dare not speak the other place's name, the other internet provider who is providing us, Comcast right here. When they were doing repairs in the neighborhood, a lot of the local businesses were unable to get access to their bank accounts or their registers because it was all connected to the internet. And Comcast didn't inform the people in that neighborhood what was going on. And this was during the early days of the pandemic too.
Yep.
So I think we all can understand how devastating that it is. Like, one, you got very few people coming out, and the people that do want to come out, all of a sudden they can't use your business because the internet's down. This is a very serious thing, and for a long time, our elected officials have ignored the fact that our infrastructure is crumbling. It's not only just the internet, but all of America's infrastructure is falling apart. And this is why we need to have backups for a backup, because what we have will fail us. And as climate change becomes an ever-increasing reality for all of humanity, we are going to need to have access for emergency services and communication with our loved ones, because this failure of our internet, especially with it falling apart, can cause the unnecessary deaths of a lot of innocent people. And we got somebody in the chat, Can't Cat, says national internet. Like, there's other countries all across the world that has, functioning internet, fiber internet, and all that other good stuff. So
and the wherewithal also to harden it so that some idiot with a gun can't go and shoot it up.
Yeah, that idiot with a gun. You're the biggest dumbass ever. But however, I guess with our infrastructure, it gets even worse, because there's another part to the story.
Well, yes, there's another story right here, and it's just one example. I was telling you, I think it was last week, about how Odessa was without water during a massive heat wave.
Right.
That recently there was just no water, and people were actually people who could afford it were taking their families to stay at hotels. You couldn't get a hotel room from miles away. And this is something that happened in southeast Oklahoma. So apparently, these people near a place called Sardis Lake ran out of water, because what happened was there was a problem with their water treatment system. They hired a third-party company to come in and to look at the situation. The company identified a problem with the treatment system's clarifier. They drained and disassembled the clarifier and left it there. And so there was no way to put water in there. So they tried to operate without the clarifier, but then it was clogging up all the pipes and clogging up all the filters. They had to turn off the water for 3 days, and now they're under an indefinite boil order. And here's the problem with boil orders, in addition to being a pain in the patoot. If something else happens, if there is a tornado, if there is a fire, something that happens that shuts off the utilities, how do you boil the water?
You can't. And look, here's another failure of our infrastructure. There's lead in Chicago's drinking water. You can't boil out lead. You can't do that
way.
And you can't boil out any of the other dangerous chemicals and heavy metals that are in our drinking water all across America. But it's not only just Chicago and Flint. There's many other cities and towns in the United States where our water infrastructure is no longer up to code, or in fact was built cheaply, and now so many innocent people are suffering because of it. When we lack proper infrastructure for our country, good people will suffer and die because of it. And our politicians are allowing it.